Okay. All right, well, thank you for joining tonight, and I want to thank, first of all, Freedom Reigns for bringing their rescues, for a couple rescues for us to demonstrate on this evening. And then, well, he was not a rescue, he's just a hard worker, but I want to introduce Michelle Trapp to you all, and she's going to discuss sort of a natural hoof care.
Them out.
Yeah, so this is hoof guided method of
trimming.
and it's just an alternative to traditional, just one of the many options we have to care for our horses. And I'll let you, I'm going to pass these out.
Okay, pass them out.
Okay, and I'll pass these out.
What I did was I created a packet for you so you could follow along. These are just key points. And by the end of the night, you are to tell me every single piece that's inside the hoof and what muscle. There's 700 muscles. I want everyone. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm Michelle, and for the last 30 years, as you can see, I've been doing equine body work. I've had the privilege of working in Germany. I have the privilege of working with Icelandic farriers, trainers, veterinarians of the Northeast, just collaborating with them and conferring, I've worked with foundered horses, I've worked with EPM, I've worked with, you name it. We've just unexplained lameness at the track. It's been wonderful. But I always felt that we were putting Band-Aids on the situation. And I worked with great farriers, and barefoot trims are fantastic. Okay. But what does it mean to be barefoot? And what I was still getting, I was going to Germany and we're working with the trainers, and they're saying, well, let's put on, okay, if I've got a tendon issue and we can't lift, well, then maybe we should put a pad on, or we should put a shoe on, or they keep abrading their toe. Did you ever hear that, where they just keep wearing down their toe? Well, that's what a horse is supposed to do. But okay, you learn. Okay. So what I'm going to present to you, I prayed and prayed because my Icelandic was not dating, and to have her tolt taken away was heartbreaking. And the farrier was phenomenal. Like, he was phenomenal, but he just kept doing that. Let's take the hoof and make it into a perfect hoof. Okay. But it wasn't perfect for her. And my Pasifino too, she didn't want a short toe. So I had to, like I said, I prayed, and I found this woman who was a farrier, Maureen Tierney, before she died a few years ago. And she introduced me to the hoof guided method. So several years ago, I said, can you come down? She said, I trained. She says, and you have to be certified. I certify you, but I won't do your trimming. And so I crossed my fingers and said, come on down. Yeah, well, I did. The best 2 years of my life going back to school to do this, I have never looked back, because what you don't realize, and we're going to go through all this, is that if you do not release the tension in the foot, okay, you can't release the rest of the body. So everything that I was trying to release in their bodies, they would resist, or they'd be girthy, or they'd stop it. And just picture yourself with really tight shoes, okay? And then somebody comes along and they want you to walk. Or have you ever had someone tell you to put like lifts or something in your shoe to balance you out, but then you have a hip issue? Okay, so what she showed us, and what she had learned, was that we do too much. And then it went back to the farrier I was working with in Iceland, where he said, I said, what is going on? What do we do? What do we do? And he says, you Americans do too much. He says, you take too much heel. You overdo. He says, just let it be, let it go. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, look at that toe. And you go crazy. So it was a perfect marriage of doing. So the hoof guided method, how different it is basically what you're going to do is you're going to look at the hoof and you're going to say, you're going to read the hoof. So, and you're going to say, all you're going to do is you're mimicking the ground. You're no better than the ground. What the domestic horses can't take off is their toe. So we help them with that. So it's not just backing, and that's what we do. We back up the foot, but into soft tissue, so you look at an x-ray, and go, oh, they got plenty of toe. No, they don't. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to go over some parts of the body with you. You can ask me questions, whatever. We're having a great discussion. Okay. Then you're going to take all this knowledge that you know, and you're going to help me look at that, those feet and tell me what you see. Does that sound like a plan? Yes. Okay, maybe I should come up there first. Maybe I do. Should I come up there first or? Or have you
Yeah.
two talk?
Yeah.
Huh? Are you?
We don't have a microphone.
Okay.
Oh, wait, is that?
Oh, is that it? Oh, I'm sorry.
The air thing turned off. So they can-
Oh, okay, because I can come up closer, then we can come to the horses, because that would probably help my neck. What? We can do that. Yeah, well, if you want to stand, it's up to you. If you want to stand around here, you can do that. But, yeah, because what we're gonna, okay, or I could just come up over there. I think it's better to
You
stay.
want, you can stand there right there.
Yeah, I'll stand up right there. Let me just come up a little. It's probably easier for you guys. All right, so my company is EcoPro, and it's sports massage therapy and osteopathy and integrated. So, and now with the adding the trimming. So basically, what you want is a very well balanced horse.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you. So now if you turn the page, what I want to ask you first, okay, what we're going to actually, we're going to do is I'm going to go through basic parts. Okay, I just summarized it for you. I thought this might be a guide for you, so this way you can see. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these parts and we'll look at a real horse. And they are three real beautiful horses. So, so we're going to look at the parts of the body, just basic, just basic. Then if you turn the page, we're going to go through and look at what's inside the hoof and what's outside the hoof. All right, and I'll explain all of that. We'll go over piece by piece. The next page is set up because what you need to see, okay, instead of the is a hoof. That's what a healthy hoof looks like, or that's what we want. That's what's inside. So what you see on the bottom of your horse's hoof, okay, that's the way it's going to look inside.
And
And
Michelle,
what this is blood, okay, it's the
wanna
vessels.
use the,
No,
I can pass it
No.
around if you guys want to see the
I would
inside.
prefer to, okay, oh, yeah, that's what they're gonna see on the next page. So
Okay.
Then we can do that. yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, okay, that's all right. That's a good idea. All right, so then the next page is where the leg goes. I figure with the leg. But what I need you to understand today, what we're going to concentrate on are just three ligaments: the extensor, the deep digital flexor, and the impar ligament. And when we get to that, I'll explain why. But you have to, so everything in the shoulder comes down and wraps itself up under and around the hoof. So it's not just blood vessels and tendons and, bones and stuff. We forget that those ligaments have to attach to something, like the deep digital flexor tendon attaches to the navicular. The impar ligament is responsible for the navicular bone. So without that, what we're doing is when we're trimming the horse, we're just trying to make the hoof capsule look pretty, and that's not what it's about. Then the next page, this is where you need to know everyone in the button. No, so this is for you. We're just I just wanted to show you, but we have real horses, so I don't have to. But this will be good for just info for you, for later. And we'll go over I want to go over the jaw bones because it's a triangulation of joints. That'll be key. To see, and that's going to be the foot. And the last page is you can have a little homework assignment where what you can do is these are the muscles in the body. I'll go over just a few of them. This is how I set up my form when I evaluate horses. We went through all my clients, asked questions, and what they said were these are parts that they could understand, and this is what we did. So key muscles that then I give them the definitions and then they know. But you don't have to. But what I want you to do is go home, look at your horse, maybe just take a look afterwards, see the hoof, see what you see the status. What do you know with noticing? can you take a couple of the actions we did tonight? What were the results you got? Did they lick and chew? Did they go away? Or, and just something that you can play around with, okay? So what, how many of you have horses? Okay, how many of you want horses? Yeah. Hey, all right, how many of you, okay, I want to ask a question. What does a balanced horse mean to you? What does balanced horse mean?
Happy.
Happy, okay. Excuse me?
Sound,
Sound, okay, what does sound mean?
sound on their legs, their feet. Their wings.
No lameness, yes. That's a joy, okay. What does balance do you think means to a horse? Okay, why is balance important to you?
So they can move forward freely without pain or restrictions.
Right, that's true. Okay, what do you think balance means to a horse now? That was good, because that followed me into that. Why is balance so important to a horse?
Stability.
Safe, yes, stability, but safety. They don't care about anything else. All they need to know is they need to get away. They need to communicate. They need to move away from other horses, okay? So they need to be balanced. And sometimes with certain methods we use, or what we're doing is we get in the way of things. We always get in the way. All right, what does collection mean to you? You heard-
Behind, lifting into back.
Okay, good. And where does that collection start?
Behind it.
The jaw, yes. I know, we think the hind end, and we want that hind end. And sometimes what happens is, I did too, I was always like behind, because that's important, but the pole needs to come up, and then your hind then will follow. But so sometimes when a horse has their jaw locked, I don't know if you've ever noticed that, like if their head is too high, or they're not engaging their hind. So there's a method I want to show you that you can release the jaw a little bit. And then, but that's important. So collection, first point of collection is at the pole, the highest point. Okay, but there's 3 joints here. So we're familiar with what part? What's it called? The jaw. We have it too. We get it sometimes.
Temporomandibular.
Yes, okay. Well, there's also an atlo-occipital, and there's an atlas. And what happens is, if one of those gets slightly off, you're going to have trouble sometimes with the haunches. So everybody keeps thinking the TMJ, and then it's like, oh, key, because if they're sometimes not using their pole, and they're going to use their base, sometimes they use that one part of the top of the neck, they can't lift the withers. So, but all of that radiates down into the foot. All right, so when you're thinking about the foot, what's the best, what do we want a horse to do? How do they come down on their feet? Well, how should they land? Heel first, okay. What was that? No, that's good. The heel first. Okay, but what they're going to do, is what you want them to do, is actually, they're going to lift their foot, okay? Blood is going to come through. Did you ever see those mops that go like this? Okay. Think about the blood coming through, and what you want them to do is come down and kind of touch on the base of the heel, but go side to side. So what also has to go side to side? Exactly, the shoulder. And then what they do is, by the time you get it up, then they abrade. It's coming down. They have their arches, that's the cartilages, and they abrade their toe. The coronet, which we're going to find out, we're going to look at, works like a tourniquet. So as it comes up and then it comes down, the blood is already perfusing the entire foot. So when they come down toe first, what do you think that affects?
Perfusion.
Yes, it does. And it also affects, think about, you're walking this way, what's it doing to all your ligaments and tendons? And then when you're coming down flat, what else is it doing? It's an impact, but when you're just doing this, everything is flowing, okay? That's what I found from this hoof guided method, by just releasing the pressure at the toe and leaving the heels be, unless you have to, even them out, check everything. But the horse grows the foot from the healthy foot from the inside out. So what would you say would be a perfect hoof? What's a perfect hoof? Is there a perfect? Is there a perfect horse? Yes, there is a perfect horse. But the perfect foot is a healthy foot and functional for that particular horse. Not these pictures that we see and I go, oh, there's such cute little feet. But we know that we can have cute little feet, or we could have, they look good, but what's happening on the inside? So it's not enough to feed them, and diet's important too. It's not enough to feed them from the up, to grow just down. We want to get the integrity outside. All right, so let's look. I just want to show you. So when you think about the relationship of the jaw to the movement of the horse's body, okay, so it's highly innervated, okay, innervated, I should say, which means there's lots of nerves. Okay, so everything in that jaw and all those nerves, they're actually feeling it in the foot. Okay, so there's all those nerves are proprioceptors, which proprioceptors are sensory neurons. Okay, and tell me if I'm dumbing it down too much. But so now the other thing is surrounded by structures that dictate the horse's balance. All right, the proprioceptors, there's cranial, there's nerves. It affects the horse's relationship to the ground. So they know where they're balancing. Now they're the components or the pieces in the shoulder are, you have your eyes, your proprioceptors, but it's also, that's what's connecting down to the pelvis. So when you're going to get that whole, like I said, collection, it's flexion achieved through the jaw, but the foot also has to roll and yield, lifting the withers and then rolling those haunches up. Okay, so the muscles, and we're talking about the jaw and the key rolls, the temporal muscle. You're going to see, I'm going to show you right here, there's two muscles. Okay, that helps the temporal joint. So when you start to massage that and work that, you're going to see them actually change. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And what that does, it assists the joint. The hyoid apparatus is, regarding their tongue and their jaw. There's bones in there, and that's the larynx and the pharynx, etc. But the lower leg, like, so when we hit our lower leg, when we want them to go, we are actually interfering. We could be interfering with the masseter muscle, the TM, and that's you need to work. Not try. Okay, TMJ, and this is what the TMJ consists of, but it's basically for the horse's balance. Okay. Then we have the scalene. Okay, when we look at the key muscles, there's two trapeziuses, which is basically at in front of the withers and then behind it. So there's key, the really, really important muscle that's right at the base of the horse's shoulder is called the scalene. That muscle is like a bridge. It lifts their whole neck up. It's basically what it does is the digestion. They use it to communicate. In fact, did you ever try pulling up a horse? You're like, come on, let's go. All right. Well, all you have to do when another horse wants a horse to move, you look at that muscle and they get up. Which I'm going to show you. Okay. So we hope. And that won't work. But what it does, it's a telescoping gesture. That's what they want to do. So think about in the hoof, if they cannot take that and they cannot lift that, what happens? They go from 0 to 100. So if they're pinning their ears and they're, well, why didn't you give me a warning? Well, I couldn't move my feet. So basically when you want balanced hooves, it's the performance potential, the horse's survival ability, the focus, decreased need for flight. So if we don't, sometimes when they're this way, they just can't, they just keep wanting to go forward. Did you ever have a horse that just keeps moving and moving and moving? Okay, we have had that. And then what we did was after we released the pressure from the toe and they stood back, they just stopped. They didn't do any more circuits. Movement and function and their relationships with their herd mates. You know, you could be saying, I'm a really nice guy, but I hurt and I can't tell you, I just can't communicate. You know, and it's funny because we had a dog that we took in and she went to bite my other dog and I'm looking and I'm like, she can't communicate with her tail. So I did something I probably should have, but I actually released it as she was going to the dog. It just stopped, the tail started wagging and my other dog went, oh, I got the point, I'll leave. So they need to communicate. So that's why it's very, very important. So, all right, on the next page, outside horses are going to walk 4,000 steps, 6,000 steps. Indoor horses, what happens? They don't get to move as much. So the back of the foot doesn't really develop as much. So the inside of the hoof, we have our coffin bone, which we know, is in the front of the foot. Okay. The navicular bone works as a fulcrum. Okay, basically, and what it's doing, it's in the back. But what is key about the navicular bone, and we always say they have, you've heard of it, I'm sure, navicular syndrome. Have you heard of navicular syndrome? Okay, what has been the definition of what's the definition of navicular syndrome? Yes, exactly. Heel pain, because that's where it is. And so what we're forgetting is that there's so what happens is the DDF, which when we go back to this, comes up, wraps around, and it goes up under the navicular bone. Well, if that's all, if there, as you said, if the heel is in pain, it's just going to put pressure on that bursa and there's no fluid, and it's going to take that navicular bone and push it more into the coffin bone. So that, and then it becomes and then it becomes extremely painful. It's not as fibrous, and it becomes almost calcified. So that's what we want to prevent. We want to prevent that. Lateral cartilages. When you look here too, when we're talking about lateral cartilages, that's behind the coffin bone. Think of lateral cartilages like your arch. Okay, so when they all need arches, they need the cartilages, and what those cartilages are going to do is it's mostly in the back, but it presses on the artery in the back of the foot. When you see the foot, there's an arterial artery. So the cartilages come back and it pushes and it helps the blood flow. So if you do have the shoes, or sometimes a trim where they're loading that wall, or they're loading just the sole, they can't move that heel. The heel bolts under. It has to be free. Okay. So the other thing, so now underneath, okay, now is the digital cushion. So up underneath the frog, that's what we were talking about with the digital cushion. That's where you're going to get your blood. When they say the pumping of the blood, that's the blood. And that's you want that. And the frog protects the digital cushion. So it is between there and it absorbs shock. The coronary band, all right, which produces the hoof wall. And that's what we were talking about, works as a tourniquet. The various chorea, when we're talking about the sole, that's basically what we're talking about, is like skin. Okay, so the chorea is more or less like the skin of the. So did you ever hear when we have, oh, my horse has thin soles? Okay, what happens is it's being stretched. So if you're taking the toe, filing that down, and then we're taking the heel and pulling at that, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to, so what we've just done is we've created thin soles because we're not allowing them to have enough blood flow. All right. So we want to, okay. And then of the plexus, cast of blood vessels. Laminae, sensitive and insensitive. Basically, what we're talking about is that the insensitive holds the hoof wall to the hoof. Okay. So, and the insensitive, or I'm sorry, the sensitive that's the nerves. That's where your nerves and the blood vessels are. Okay, so, and they work together, they make each other up. But so, and if you notice what I'm saying is inside the bionic shoe. instead of let's look, this is a whole other way of looking at it. When I look, I see a hoof. All right, it's beautiful, beautiful hoof. But if we look at it differently and we say, that's the bionic shoe. So in other words, think about this amazing machine thing that they had, that God gave them, you know, and oh, so but we think we need to just file it and make it look perfect. But what if they want to grow things out? We just don't allow it to. We need to get the integrity of the foot. So if we look at it, that what we're trying to do is not just help that capsule, we're trying to, or the shoe, it'd be like someone trying to take your shoe and say, oh, I think I'm going to add more heel to this, or I'm going to carve it and I'm going to do something different to it. How is that going to affect the inside of the boot or your foot? It's the same thing. So whatever you do to the outside, better make sure that you're affecting the inside as well. All right, so now the parts of the hoof capsule, and I'm sure everybody's kind of seen a hoof, they know, all right, that the sole, well, it should come in contact and it should share, but it shouldn't be totally on it. The white line, I like what we call it, the sole wall juncture. And what it does, it kind of ties everything together. And that's where they collect the dirt and the bacteria, you know, and whatever else that they need. And what it does is it ties the sole to the inner wall. That's what you want. Okay. And sometimes when you see some of those have you heard of the stretched white lines where, okay, it seems that there's a big gap, like there's lines and it's stretched. That's the dead laminae that wants to just grow out, which we're not allowing to because we took too much pressure on it. Okay, so the inner wall, that's created by the insensitive lamina. Okay, and what it's going to do is it protects it's pliable, it protects, and it's got a lot of bounce. So you have to be careful by taking too much outer wall. You could really affect the inner wall because now they really have to land on that, and it's sensitive tissue. So that should not absorb all of the shock. The outer wall actually does have some elastic to it. The bars, okay, when you walk around the extension of when you look at the bottom of the hoof and you see the extension of the bars, okay. I have seen horses, sometimes horses will grow them very, very long. And what they're trying to do is if they don't have any heel, that's for extra support. These bars actually have two types of skin or keratin, which we don't really, it could be sole, or is it going to be part of the hoof wall? So you have to look at the foot and go, wait a minute, are they building this up for a reason? Or are we supposed to take it? The frog acts, the digital cushion is really like the blood, okay? But the frog actually does work like a fulcrum. Yes.
What determines you taking the bar and not taking the bar?
What determines taking the bar is, okay, if it's higher, if it's too high, we take it. Now, sometimes what happens is the hoof wall, we look at the hoof wall and we say, okay, it needs to be taken down just lower, if it's too, maybe like 1/4 of an inch. If we cannot take, now if we're taking the entire bar, you stop the sole because the bar is responsible for sole growth. So you have to be very careful. Now, sometimes they will all of a sudden lay it back on. And sometimes you take some off and you think they're okay, and then you'd have to come back. You come back and you make sure you take it. So it's easy to just take everything at one go, but it's better, like we did the other day, watch how he goes because he had, the horse had an injury or something else and maybe they needed it. And then we watched him and then we went back and we said, we can bring that down a little bit more. The other thing that the bars are done for traction. So there are times during the environment, okay, it's based on the environment, it might be that they need that. Now, the other time about the bars, if they're punky, we don't take them. And what I mean by punky is that, see, I work with a knife that's not sharp, it's dull. I only take, because if you put a sharp knife, you can take off anything, but if you exfoliate it. We'll go down and we'll watch the horses. But the bar also, so you can decide whether it's supporting the coffin bone Or is it just now the sole, or there's not enough wool? And sometimes a horse will lay on an extra bar because they broke off a heel or something, and so you don't take it. If you take it, the horse is gonna be uncomfortable. It's like they're creating like a cast for themselves. All right, the coronet we got, so basically the hoof must land properly, side to side. We talked about that, shoulder length. Altering the hoof capsule, anything you do will affect the legs, muscle, tendon. So if it's a correct trim, it's going to allow the horse to move and be, there we go, be functional.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the bottom line is releasing the pressure at the toe, releases the heel, the deep digital tendon, which wraps around and takes the pressure off the shoulder. And then the alignment
I
just
have a
goes,
question.
yes.
So let's say that you get to a point where the horse is balanced and moving freely, pole on down.
Yeah.
But this is not a horse that spends a lot of time on perfect footing. Say a hunt horse.
Mhm.
It's out there in the hills of Giles County, which is rough and the weather's usually crummy when they're hunting. So what is your advice for how to manage that horse's foot? Because it's not going to have the traction barefoot on ice and roads that, because they put barium,
Yeah, I know, I used to do that.
right.
So, yeah, we
Me
used to.
too. So I'm like, my horse, I would love the idea of him going barefoot, but it's not gonna happen
I know.
for
Isn't
my
that
own
sexy?
safety.
I've
you
heard,
know?
I said that. I was ready to put 4 shoes back on my Icelandic. I said, I rode her in Georgia. I've ridden my horses in the not Appalachian trails. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I got this trim and I have been pulling off more shoes and we've been jumping them. And it takes time. It's not an easy, but the reason why they can't go barefoot is because we're taking everything and we're tightening, we're lessening the blood flow. When you take that pressure off, all of a sudden, and then we look at like minerals, if they're missing anything, but I have
So are
heard
you
more people say,
Thinking that maybe like a horse like mine, the horse I have in mind, she doesn't have, she has medium feet, like they're not too thin, they're not too, they're like
Right.
not drafty. So would it be, what's the timeline, I guess, where if I were to pull her shoes and try to go barefoot with her, because her sole is thinner now
Right.
because of the way she's done and has always been her whole 15 years. What's the timeline? Like, how long would I expect hoof growth, sole
almost
thickening?
Almost
year?
immediately. No, it will
Almost
be like a year,
immediately.
but immediately you
Okay.
will see changes. And the reason is, okay, all right, that whole thing, okay, when we talked about, now I lost the train, but I'd have to look at her course.
Of course,
have to
yeah,
think
I know that
And to see,
you don't have a crystal
but
ball,
no, but you don't like to do that. However, I had a vet, up in, I'm trying to think of it, First Creek. He decided, it was a horse that found her. And what had happened was, he says, I'm gonna try this because, start putting the lily pads on. He took the pressure off the toe. The horse started to walk. Okay, a little bit. I worked on it now that found it many few weeks ago. They were gonna put her down. And now any other trim, I remember because I put a couple horses down, I lost them because they went barefoot. I should have put them shoes. I should have done that. Or because of the shoes were something. And to change the whole metabolism. And this mini was shaking and miniature. And I said, oh, okay. And I saw what we needed to do. I took the pressure off that toe. Do you know, she walked out, started eating her hay. I'm telling you, when Maureen said to me, prepare to be amazed, I went, yeah, okay. Every horse is different. I had horses in Indiana. That horse I was trying to talk to, it was like, they were going to put her down, feet wrapped, barely walking. We did this. By the next day, Gloria says, this cannot be real, that this horse is like up, she's standing up, and we're working with it. So it's just, it's a natural thing for a horse to do. Because we take too much. You only take what the horse is ready. So you look at the foot, and which we're going to say, this is what he's working on. Okay. So I'm not going to destroy what he's working on. So I'm going to and that's what you do. So So you just say, oh, he couldn't get this because of the terrain, because we are domesticated. A Mustang's hoof is really an adaptation of itself. Do you know what I mean by that? How does a Mustang, I'm sure we're aware, the Mustangs, what do you think, what does the Mustang hoof look like? All right, what they're doing is, the Mustang will wear it down because they have, like they're eaten in the wild, whatever, but they'll get flare. And our flare is from diet or from something else, or maybe they're putting it on because they need that structure. And then when they're done with whatever, they file it down. And I'm going to tell you, my barrel racer, my retired barrel racer, which I think she wants to go back. She, I don't know, but anyway, she had the 4 worst feet in the barn. Okay. Oh, we just had to put these shoes. I mean, I had cracks. I had everything all over the place, no matter what you could do with her. You know how often I trim her now? 6 months. For the first couple of years, I trimmed her for a couple of, you do every couple, whatever you need to do. It's not based on the horse. It's not based on your schedule. It's not based on my schedule. It's based on if the horse needs me. Like Erica needed me because of that bar. That's it. We're coming. Okay. And then we realized, and it was good. She's got an eye. We saw, we go, oh, okay, let's do it. So it's not based on, I need to take my feet and make them short because I got to come back in 6 weeks. And this is what's happening. And it's not bad. I mean, we have, like I said, I work with great people, but this is what we knew. This is what I knew. And now it's like that horse. I mean, she's actually taken it and now she's working on that right front again because she is blind in the one eye. And I go, oh, you're changed. Okay. So I let her go and she isn't off a day. And it's amazing. So yes, they can develop that. Yeah, with this type of trim and a very similar one to the Nadine is doing in Germany. I'm telling you, it's just because help them. So all we're doing is helping. Right now, they're going into healing mode. They always have toe and we're just like, no.
Don't go.
If they always have, if they grow too much toe, it's because we might have taken too much off. They're going to keep putting it back on until they decide, no, I need to back it up. So when you see, and I'm going to show you with the frog, when you start to see, like you see the apex of the frog, when you see that there, that's okay. Then when you look a little bit, there might be a little bit of a ridge of the toe, but what's going to happen is if you release that pressure, you're going to notice that the frog, it comes back. But that's not what that is. That's the hoof capsule going back. It's just not becoming distorted again. So that's the pull that she's probably feeling. But I'll gladly look because I'll tell you, I never thought it, but I've got horses that were never, and they're doing it.
It's insecurity.
It is.
I don't want to pull down.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And that's exactly what I said. I was convinced. I said to another fair, I said, I can't take this with my son anymore. I just can't. I can't. I said, I'm putting 4 shoes back on her. I just can't take it. I said, that way I know she'll be fine. I know nobody's going to mess with her feet anymore. That's it. And my husband and I are like, what are we going to do? This is crazy. Or I was going to get somebody from my guy from Georgia or something. And then I don't know. I just typed in miracle. I don't know. I something helped me. And I wound up with this. And that's when my whole world changed several years ago.
I'm anxious to see what
Yes, we should do that now. Okay, so we can look at the rest and then we're going to go down and look at everything else we can go through as we ask for questions. The deep digital flex, just understand that the flexor tendon, the extensor flips the toe. Okay, and the deep digital flexor tendon comes under. But I think then we got the whole idea. So we're going to go down and we're going to look at some toe. Okay, any questions at this point? Did I confuse you too much? Yeah, so the whole goal is, it's like I said, we don't do totally thousands of people, we work in everything we do is for music. So this is going to come on down. He's in great shape, but he's afraid of keeping him down.
This is one point.
Yeah. But donkeys get very nervous with pools. So I put it in this and they think it's a bucket of a basket and they're like, ooh. So I've had one duck kind of take things out and say, oh, let's do this. I'm like, you want this tool? So what we're gonna do is first we're gonna look at his legs. Or they could, so man is responsible for the wall. But then you've got very oval, and that's like the beautiful. That's responsible for the moisture. And then comes the last thing, the blood comes down the wall. So when the farrier, when someone comes down, and I had somebody tried to, my one horse tried, let's get his tubule straight. And what he did was he took all from down here, and I'm like, but there's nothing growing down. So then he's growing down. And then she had no allowance, but it was worth a shot. And so what we want is the last we want. What we're gonna see. So this is the rod. Now, again, when you're telling me this is very small, so it's just in the there's no argument, there's no anything. So, and we come along with this rod, and come along with this rod. This coming over this way is saying, I need help, I don't have a feeling. That's the way. So, that's the model. Right. So, you get the bar, you'll take the ball. I gotta go. Oh, no, you don't. I know he is. But,
I'm gonna try to film stuff and put on it.
so what we're gonna do.
Yeah, did you hear that? They're gonna try to film a little bit of this and put it on the YouTube for you guys,
So the goal. Okay,
on the YouTube.
And what I'm gonna do, scratching. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do, even before I do any of this. Okay. I know what I'm doing. So what I do. Yeah, most of the time. Alright, so. Going through this a little bit, trying to get but what I want them to do is I want the top of the saddle to point to the fifth. That's what they do, and it's like, oh, so this is the plate. And then this kind of go away, but what I want to do, now do you see, there's tension, oh, I like that, he just released his jaw. But do you see how his shoulders are shifted? So I massage this, I work this a little bit, and that allows me then he'll be relaxed, and then it's further into the, I don't want to knock him on the balance, or putting it behind them, everybody does hope them, and then they have to shift all that way forward. So what you want, and I'm gonna show you later, is how to get their back feet going, is if I work behind it, I'm gonna work the front. So I'm releasing this, and I want him to, I'm looking at it scaling, but you see how what the low is there. There. Very nice. Very, very good. So again, you're looking, so now let's look at the foot. And then it's like, just put the pressure up the toe. All right, there you go. All right, so what I'm gonna do. Get that on. What we're going to do is that. You know, like, this is the first, yes, right there. This name. Is walking off in the room. Looks like this food is very, very pretty. Okay, and I take my knife. Because basically, and I just do it using the knife. Now, this is what we call a setup term. He has not happened. So, I think that when you see something like a raise, it's a set of allocated to the raise. So what it is a lot of how is this? That's the alcohol in the wall. So you take the pressure and you tension. You see all of them? This way. He's gonna braid his toe. Okay, and he's definitely going to. Okay, so now there's nothing to come up. It should be a slight slope, but there's no heel. Because it's flat. So what I did was just basically, you take the pressure off. And I'm not using a hook stand, I just let him do. So what's going to happen is, see where the apex is. Next time in 3 weeks, give him time to relax, it's gonna be back. But do you see how? Relax. Now we're gonna do the other foot. Okay, so. Should we turn? Oh, yeah, I know, he's.
Want me to turn him?
Yeah. Would you like to turn? Thank you, handsome boy. I'm right here. All right, so that's what we're gonna do too. Thank you. You see how much easier because he knows what I'm doing now. So now what we see here. Okay. What do you see with this foot? Do you see the unevenness? And this is still flare, and see what's happening is it's coming around. So we need to release, take that pressure out. So what he's done is because of the lack of support on the outside, you see what he's done is built it up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna help him. So as long as it says we're going to help him even it out, but so what we want is exfoliate again. Good bars, but elongated frog, and then the cleft, and that's usually where we wind up with the thrush and things like that. But you're in good shape. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. He's waiting. He's like, stop talking. Okay, and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm going to go. So if there's a ridge, you go right in front of the ridge. If there's no ridge, meaning they don't tell you really right now where the toe is, you go to the white line. But watch, freedom. Look at him. Look, there it goes. There. Even the rasp, the way you fold it is different. So we're gonna. I'm sorry, you gotta get back on a trailer. to do this. That's good. Oh. Look, do you see the foot? So when we're trimming or we're shoeing, we have to forget that the horse is in a relaxed, it's supposed to be in a relaxed, this is a relaxed state. And then all of a sudden we put it down and we've already put the shoe on, or we've taken off everything we needed to. What happens? And then it's like, oh, tendons are tight, like putting on a tight shoe. Superman. Even the option, just a little bit. And all I'm doing is now, this is called the seed of corn. So he has the heel bowl, the heel, then there's the quarters right here. All right, so that's what we're doing. There you go. So what we're gonna do is just take the pressure. And see how now what's happening to the shoulder? What is it doing the more I take the pressure off? You see the shoulder start to come in? So the difference is with this trim is that you have the plow. So I'm just gonna take that out. Again, I'm just going to make sure it's even. That's what I wanted to do. You see, as long as I'm taking the pressure. Look. Very good. Very good. Okay. We don't do too much. And then I'm gonna let him feel it. What happened with his shoulder? What do you think? That's the stage. That's the one that you want to do. I'm sorry. Feel it. And eventually that's going to even itself out. You can see here, you see the flare. He's got some, so what you want to happen is that you want this flare, right now it's flaring from the cornet band out. So as you keep taking the pressure a little bit here, because this is a little bad, and as he gets new, and periople protects the new horn growth, as he starts to do that, you see the bull nose here, meaning that it's the tubulars, this pressure coming up into the cornet band. So as you start to just keep with the way the horse is going to move and watching the inside, as you take that pressure off, that's gonna just even itself out. So you wait, you get a little strength here, and you take a little bit more. A little more strength, take a little bit more. But if you take the whole thing from the outside, they've got no support. It's like being a little leg. So.
Oh, that's a setup. It's barely really when you're doing anything. So there are times when now I look at some of the horses I do, it's like, oh, they only need their 2 feet done. They don't even need the back feet today. Or they need that one back foot and they need the other, depends on what they were doing or where they were walking. So now, okay, let's see what he wants to do here.
What I do
This for him.
What I want him to do, don't want him to lift it high. Want him to tilt it. That's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna have him tilt it. Push it back. And then what I'm gonna do. And let's see what's happening. I do this. And I just, that's it. You know, I'm not the farrier. That's okay. Good boy. There you go. And I clean it out. I see. There's nothing to take right now. Bars a little bit, but it's punky. So again, going right away, I'm going to take that pressure, see, and give him some relief. Give you some relief there. Good. Hold it there. Now watch the leg. What's he doing with the leg? He's relaxing it there. Oh, and you'll want to stretch it probably. He's got some kind of cavity there, but full. So I'm just, so you can see the outer wall, the inner wall, and then the white line. That's what you have to tie together. If we keep doing everything from here and back, and I'll finish it up from the bottom, but when you keep doing it that way, so basically, same thing, see the wall, but see, you couldn't see that before because the pressure was this way. So you want his wall to breathe and look at him. Oh, stretch. And that's all we're gonna do. And we got the other one. Once again. Do you want to try it again? You want me to see if there's anything else I need to do? Just want to make sure I did it right. Okay, here. There we go. There, and let's see the difference in his weight. Do you see how he's flicking it? He's flicking his foot. We took the pressure off the extensor. Okay, I'm sorry, buddy. There. And we put that back. And there.
Should we face him that way so everyone can see the back?
So what I'm doing right now is I'm not touching up the back too much because what he's gonna, they're looking into you, he's looking into it. They have to feel it because all of a sudden they can feel their, picture nice comfortable shoes. And I know the ones they used to wear to national, I shouldn't be wearing, but I wear them anyway. So, and I look like a fool. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're just making him comfortable. I want him in this seat. I want him. Yes, again, what I do is to drop the hip, because if they pull it all up, you have to remember the hip is back, there's a joint here, and then the femur comes up. So if you pick it up too high or too fast over there, you're hitting bone against bone. So that's why sometimes they want to kick out a little bit. So it's only polite. Just let them get balanced. That's what they want to do. You see, like, but he knew what I was doing. So right away, you see, he's got his break over right here at the tip of the toe. But he's trying to correct it, even though he was done last week, right? So all we're doing is taking the pressure. Taking the pressure. Taking the pressure. So he can actually, now you see the difference here and here? You see how it just gradually rolls over? But here it's at the tip. So it's almost like he's stubbing his toe. Okay, there, and then you can see a little bit of where he wanted a little separate, but he's separating a little bit because he would make sure that wasn't stone that was trapped. Yeah. So yeah, so he was trying to get that out of there. So this needs to be an oval. He wants it as an oval. Works better that way. So here's his toe. I'm going in front of the ridge, and I'm just doing it 20 degrees, one slope at a time, taking the rough edges off. We're not going to do anything with his heel, and look at how he stretches. Oh, when they know what you're doing, and they know you're not going to hurt. Did you ever have a horse that be with the farrier? I used to dread it. He's going to be bad. He's going to be good. So anyway, so now, that's what we're gonna do. What I want to double check is that what did we do? I'm gonna I just felt better with that. Because I can feel it, pretty heavy. And hooray, because I feel, and I can feel it. Now. I think we did. Now let's see. Now let's see. Oh, yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah, he crosses.
I love it.
He's a line walker.
Yeah, right, which is fantastic. But that's good. I'll teach you that, but now we can teach the rest of it that. But see, that's the point, that's what you're supposed to do. You can get good.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna help him relax here. There, that's it, that's it. And the other thing is a little more flexible and lift the shoulder. So, but then okay, the other one we do, yes, is the trigeminal nerve, which basically just starts the engines. And what I just do is make sure that's it. But you see how his head is higher now? That he's moving this way, he's not moving this way.
because he's feeling the tension. Okay, nice, nice. Feel it. And then. So it's a good exercise, this can happen. See, he wants to be with you because he can come. But that's what we want. We want him to flex and relax. Let's try. Let's try. Okay, so I'm going to do the scalene. I want him to lift the shoulder. Let's see if I yield with the horses. There we go. He has to think about it. And what did he just do? He was able to free up his shoulder because he could take his foot and flex it. Let's go home and put our feet up. Have a nice glass of wine with me? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so then what I normally do is I'm not gonna go crazy with today, but when I come to you, I'm going to, because I owe them big time, is just more or less making sure everything's in alignment. You can chiropractically adjust him as much as you want, but you want to make sure that the ribs are really in alignment first, because half the time the back just suffers. So we just want to make sure, we just don't want to shock the system. Oh. There you go, making sure. Nice up there, all right. So basically, that's how we do it. We do a little bit, and as they get a custom and their feet, we have left. Good. But I just want to make sure. Yeah. All right, big guy, you did it. Any questions? Okay, so what were your observations? What did you notice? And don't stand in front of the back of the horse. For EPM, I used to do this, but
We're certainly standing a lot more balanced. I feel like these guys are really evenly distributed.
the bony column is starting to come under, and that's the key. So you can have a lot of, even the Mustang will, you do, thank you so much. Thank you so much, buddy. And that you can have the Mustang and do all that. And then what happens is then you get one at the desert. And there's even one, there's one where you could say, oh my gosh, it's a how is this horse walking? And there's this huge piece, but he lives on a beach. I would love to live on a beach. But the foot, so he broke off this part, but he couldn't break off this part. And he's still moving. Eventually he'll break it off, but you don't want him to break, you want to help. So all that has to be taken into consideration. But do you see the difference in how he's?
Or just the release that would happen when you were like, and he would relax.
The whole shoulder went.
Hmm.
Now what he's feeling is like. You just put on those fluffy sneakers, whatever you got, I don't know, sneakers. All right, thank you so much. So can we go help your buddies?
Who would you like that?
Anybody? We got Pogo, whoever.
If you want the mini or the pony?
We'll do Pogo. Come here, bud. I love my Pogo. Pogo, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, so here, he's not coming, is he coming down top first? No, is he coming down flat? Right, so he's coming down flat. So that's okay. I mean, it's better, whatever. But, and also, don't forget, he's Dayton has that gait, so they are gonna keep the code. I appreciate it. Yeah, right. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. So what I want them to do is even when you have them in cross eyes and trimming them, I want that most of the time they learn to do this and they'll do this and they'll put their neck really on me. I know you don't want them to bite you and you're being good to the fair, but that's their way of like, oh, I'm releasing my whole shoulder and wiggling my foot. So that I want, because they learn to do that as foals. So. Can I have this? All right, so here we go. Oh, buddy. So here, elongated frog, he's got his heels. He has heel, and he's using that for balance. Again, there's no ridge, so we're going to take the pressure off of, there's that, so. And I see, right, you're right, so. Now with him, the reason I'm not doing the jaw, I did it before and there was a lot of resistance. And if there's resistance, you don't want to cause him pain again. So I'll do that again after I take the pressure off of the foot. So. But just watch him. Oh no, show us. Show us, buddy. This is a new rest. There you go. Now watch his leg. Now I'm not, I'm biting with a finger. That's what I've got. Fingers. Everybody says it's just hard on your body, and I'm like, no, they're doing what work. Look at that. So, so then I come down and I let him relax it. And I take that. And I'm just basically bringing helping the outer inner look through the shoulder. And that's him. Okay. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna take the pressure off the quarters. I'm not taking anything with the heel. You don't back up the heel this way. And you don't look down this way. If you do down this way, you're making the DDF tight. So I'm looking at it from here and seeing where he wants to go from the side of the foot. So if he did a work here and he didn't do it here, I'm gonna help him with it. Because he's saying help me. Otherwise he's saying, go away, lady, go away. So this is what we're doing there. Oh, and we flipped it up. And then I'm just going to tie it together. Then I'm going to look and go and see if I have a good kind of coming up and better. And it should basically like a slope down here. But here I basically mimicking how she would there. And you see the difference what he did after I did that? It could just be a hair. And I'm not touching the heel. In 3 weeks, he's going to tell me, I'm going to look at this and it's going to be a whole new map. It's going to be an actual map. And I'm just saying, oh, Coco, this is what you wanted me to do. Oh, okay. There. You want the other one done? And do you see how he's getting ready with the other one? So, like, please. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we should probably. He's ready to lift this. Go ahead. I'm gonna have to walk now.
Would it be better to be backwards the whole time? Like the butt
Oh,
facing
maybe.
towards us?
Yeah, you guys are okay with turning it butt toward you.
Oh,
He doesn't care, he just wants that, but see how it's like, you can see how he lands down with one.
oh, no,
As
I
opposed
was back, booty
I
back this
know,
way.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That's okay, Pogo, that's okay, okay. Sorry, buddy. He's like,
There you
"Oh,
Right there.
Good boy.
so if he lets out. Like a gallon, you guys. Okay, like here. Oh, there we go. Again, so again, what I do, making sure. Bunch of different places and I see there. So you want them using here, and now see this bar and with a tiny piece. So, and these are more oval, but they should, so are we, the risky. And the pressure on it. Grasp down, and looking into it. Yes, looking into it. So I take my grasp, put it there, and I, so it's not, it's detail oriented, but it's the concept is just like, duh. So you see how here, when we shift it all, you see where the pressure is? Imagine the pressure on the side of your foot. I'm taking that off. In other words, I'm just taking pressure. You see it? Taking out pressure off. Oh, wow. And look, see how it's there. One finger. One finger. Leaving it there. One finger. There. What do you think? 20 degrees. And I just, there you go. No, that was good. That's the feel it. Yeah, but I have to reach up.
Are these horses that you've been working on and have gotten their feet?
No,
right?
no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting, because we were going to, and then we were like, oh, I didn't really, we're gonna have horses. And then, because I wanted to do the presentation and the press discussion, and then it was a good idea, but I didn't want to, and I also did like this about doing horses that I haven't done, because I didn't want to say, oh, no, what happened to the horse? Do I get back on the trailer, because we're doing, but it worked out, it's working out. And then otherwise, we're gonna try and bring a horse that done, but it just. it
Yeah,
was
that's
crazy.
actually a really good question, because she's never met the horse.
Yes,
before
I've never
today.
met
Right, but in other words, their feet look really good. and
Right.
they Look,
Yeah, and that's the point, that's excellent.
right.
The feet look fantastic, right? You would think it's a healthy hoof, but when you look at it, it's elongated, so everything inside. So a beautiful, when it looks like that, it could be beautiful, but is it really healthy? And are they able to move inside? So I thought they didn't. Fantastic. That was good. I guess I should have told you that I've never. Right. So, same thing. Do. It pretty much knows what I'm doing from the front. So again, nice ovals, but there's no heel. So remember, so what I'm gonna do is again, I'm gonna go right in front of the ridge, I'm taking the pressure off. 9 to 3. 10 to 2, but watch the leg. You see what you can do with the leg? All right, so he's not pulling it away from me, is he? And then we take the pressure off there a little bit. And so basically, so what we want, here we go. Now here, you can see a very tiny bit of wall. So there's not a lot of it. So basically, here it looks like, oh my gosh, it's longer, but it's really not. So, yeah, just want to take that off. And then I'll take it down. Go ahead. Do it. What do you think? Okay, we're gonna do the other side. Okay. I know, right? Thank you so much. It's like I was told I shouldn't have. I'm weird. Thank you. You do. Okay. And again, not high, because I want to feel that. I'm going to clean that up. But first, sometimes it helps just to get the pressure off first, so they know what you're doing. And sometimes what will happen, and this is why we're leery for doing this, but not leery if something's gonna happen, but it's just that for its time, the horses will just want to throw out that whole tissue. So you can, we can be making it a nice, neat foot, but are we doing and giving them any benefit by not letting them grow out what they need? So again, and again, I have one finger. So have you ever held your horse's hoof with one finger? Yeah. So what I do is I make sure, in this case, it's kind of hard because they don't have heel. So what you're trying to do, and this is a flare, so we just leave exfoliate. So this should exfoliate. We want to keep a nice, healthy hoof, they're nice hard hooves, but we just want deflection in the foot radiating up the body. So when they, on their sole, or they have the foot, the wall, okay, even with barefoot horses, it's a vibration that they feel radiating up the body. With a shoe radiating up the body, so you want them to be able to use back of that foot. So, thank you, Frank. So here is his digital cushion. Okay, that's his artery there, and you want this to move. And you want all of this, these nerves, to be working there. Okay. Yeah, oh, yeah. I know, really. Here, try it. There. And you want the temporal muscles to be nice and plump, and there's the two muscles right here, 1, 2, that work that joint. Okay. He's letting me, oh, yeah. Really touching the jaw, yeah, because he can, so he's got a little bit more flexion in the foot, and what is he doing? He's going a little bit, not too major. It won't say joy, it will say. So. Oh, the more, oh, more. Yeah. Yeah, oh, there you go. Oh, that's it, there you go. And that's the one, oh. There you go. That's it. Oh, okay. There you go. Good guy. Nice. Double check. Oh. Lowering the head. Just a nice relax. Man, I'm telling you. Yeah, you are. Oh, my God. I gotta see all your other guys. My God. I'm leaving, I know who too. They're all safe.
Yeah, wait. There's
So again, he didn't want the ears are not pinned back before he was, and I can't blame him, because every time I did something to the body, he'd feel the pressure in the foot, and he couldn't turn the foot. So can you imagine trying to get away from the, that's it. That's the way to go, buddy. You just release that. So we have the TNJ, then we have the occipital, and then we have the axis. Yes, there you go. Good boy. You like that? This is a good one. There you go. Now there you go. Oh, that's right. But sometimes when you're not getting that flexion to the right, you're trying to work through it. Think about, are they folding, and are they using their feet as well? Oh, man. And I told them full body massages for being so good to me. We want to make sure. So then, thank you. So again, do you see how it's coming in this way? But it's coming out that. So he's trying to even himself out. And just by taking that pressure off, we're going to let him settle. He can find it. There we work. Because he was born with these feet. You know, these are his. Who are we to violate? Who are we to say we know better? Oh, let's put the brake over it, right in front of the child. Oh, that'll slip. Why? Where does he want the brake over at this point in his life? What's going on? Yeah, I mean, there is to help him move better, yeah. But watch for putting it in. Oh.
I know, I can hear them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Michelle, we're about 10 minutes.
Oh, we better
wrap
go.
up.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do the next pony,
We'll do him very quickly.
Okay.
Not quickly, but.
But if anybody has any questions,
Yeah.
well,
Well, let me just at least help poor force out.
so pitiful, God. Goliath is his name. Hey, do you mind coming over this way for the camera's sake?
Again, here we go.
Gee. Gee,
Yeah, the camera.
don't be naughty,
I
Gee.
think that's it. Come on, big guy.
Don't be naughty.
Well,
Cause I'm trying to show off my namesake.
I know.
you're also doing at the farm, maybe. Let's just. You want to try that? Oh, that was that shoulder. Oh, we took the pressure. Okay, let's just, 1, 2, 3. That's it. We're just gonna take the pressure off. So all he needs is the pressure off the toe. He's got, okay, we don't want any points, but that's just taking the pressure there. Off. There. All right. Here we go. There. There. And sometimes that will happen with their shoulders if it's blocked. Yeah. Try to rush the- There. I think that's what it was. And then somebody was behind me. There. But I couldn't question. I mean. And he's got a really nice foot. But again, just that pressure. What he's done, it was. They will be there for what he needs. There. Okay. And we'll try this. Can we lift this one just a little bit? Again, there you go. I'm gonna clean that out because that does dirt here. Again, there goes, there. Pressure. There, and then we're done. Okay, one more foot. His is there and there. I got it. What do you think? I don't know. I'll wear this for a little while. Let's see what
Sorry.
we have here. I'm not gonna just not do even feet. There. There. That's it. Bring it in. And that's good. All right. Now we're gonna do the other side, 1 more foot. Okay, now it's relaxed. Okay. That's the point. And
dozing when you.
Goliath says, aren't you glad you didn't start with me? No, that's good, because then you can tell us all. And I do have to get into your hip, because I know I can feel it in your hip, buddy. So that's the problem. And then we're done. So we're just gonna take again, white line. Take the pressure off the toe. You see how he's coming in, bringing it back? You see it? Flexing in himself. That's all we need to do. And then I owe him a big massage. Okay. Any questions?
On a draft, can you ever get rid of the flare or is that just part?
You know, it depends on the draft. And yes, you can. They're gonna do the same thing, depending on how they put their weight. Okay. So some have, but you have one with a lot of flare.
We have a bunch of drafts, but they all
Oh.
have, they all have flare and I mean, they've been barefoot since we've had them
Cool.
and it's getting less and less, but
Yeah,
it's
they
hard to
could bring
find
it in.
shoe or boots that will fit them because of the flare, so.
Yeah, they don't make the flared out boots, do they?
No,
No, I know. Thank you so much. But yeah,
So big.
pressure off the toe and then they do it. I have a draft that I do. And she just, she lets it, you know, just to the toe, she brings it in accordingly. Now she did when she was injured, she grew out a big one, flare. So I had to be careful because we had to peel the leg and then gradually, that's it. So I thank you for your time and your patience and did I confuse anybody?
Any more
I know it's a lot.
questions?
Any more questions or?
Just to confirm, like, so you want round and not oval is ideally the shape you're trying to get to, is that
In the
correct?
fronts, the
In the
fronts,
fronts.
they want round. In the back, they want oval. So if you see your horses with round and round or oval and round, that would, Goliath, his feet are a little different. He does want that, a little bit more oval and just follow. the contour. I thank you so much for bringing them.
Yes.
Connect.
Freedom Reigns, you guys grab
So I
a
wanted to-
brochure, please, if you didn't get one for Freedom Reigns, so we appreciate them so much.
And,
And
say my, yeah. you can-
Michelle, is your contact on that?
I think, I don't know whether he did or I did, I bring it. So
But we'll, everybody online will email you the copies.
Yeah, here, just, yeah, well, here's the contact, and we'll send you the contact.
Yeah, we can email it.
You
We'll
can email it.
Yeah.
We'll email you the contact. I never brought the business card. So
Thank you
But, I'm so excited about being here. I didn't think of it.
Thank you so much.
I-
Appreciate you.
It helped.
It's nice to hear a different perspective on it.
I know.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to overwhelm, go back, finish, play with that, call me with, or text me. I don't care, with questions about whatever, after you, I know it's a lot to absorb, because it's like, we've been, we've all been there, done that, so. Just another way of looking at it. I'm not saying you have to adopt it, I'm just saying. Here it is, and this is, there's so many religions, and this is, this is what I found, and thank you for letting me share it.